Peace and blessings to you and yours. What's going on, everybody? Pastor Mike here, also known as PM. Welcome to Sunday Push. I'm excited today. Been looking at this word, and this word has been a blessing to me. So I hope, I pray. Well, you know what? I know it's going to be a blessing to you. So we're going to go ahead and get into this thing. If I could sing, I would do some praise and worship, but your pastor can't sing, man. I will try. Someone asked the question, why do we sing when we lift our hands to Jesus? Y'all don't want to hear that. That just takes you all out of the mood. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say we're going to jump into this word, but make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Instagram is Pastor Mike _PM. Facebook, Pastor Mike PM. YouTube, Pastor Mike PM. I have a Twitter, but I'm never on there. I need a team to work on that type of thing. But make sure you follow, make sure you like, make sure you share, comment below. If you watch this later on, make sure you share it when you watch it. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this word. So today is it's an interesting word. I like today. The topic is going to be, I'm going to start off with the topic first. The topic is going to be, I want it now. The topic is, I want it now. And we're going to come out of Genesis chapter 16, 1 and 2, and then Genesis 15, 2 and 4. I'm going to say that again. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 16, 1 and 2, and Genesis chapter 15, 2 and 4. We're going to read that in a minute. As humans, we have a natural tendency to be impatient. And if you look at the stuff that we have invented, you can kind of picture, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Let's say we build things to go faster. We build things to shave off time. So one point in time, we walked, then we started riding animals, horses and camels and things, donkeys and things like that. Then we got boats, then we made cars, then we made airplanes, we made stoves so we can cook food faster, and ovens, and then we did microwaves so we could heat things up faster. Now we got the air fryer. Everything we do is a way to shave off time and make things easy, but also really because we don't want to, I don't want to say waste time, but the time that it took to do certain things, we don't want that no more. So it's only natural that in our everyday life, we want things to go faster, that we want things to go faster in our personal life or in reaching our goals. I just don't want to wait to have to get my degree for 4 years to get my bachelor's. I don't want to have to wait to get my master's or my doctor's. I wish I could just get up and do whatever I had to do, and then the next day I have everything I want. But that's just not how things work. But what happens is a lot of times we want it now. And in our wanting it now, it makes us impatient. And with us being impatient, we can make some drastic decisions that's very dangerous, that can cause us to lose out on some things or delay what we was trying to rush in the first place. And it's with that concept is what we're going to be dealing with today as we talk about how I want it now. So go with me now to Genesis chapter 16, verses 1 and 2. Genesis 16, verses 1 and 2. I don't know what version you're reading it out of, but I'm going to be reading it out of the NIV version. Genesis chapter 16. I mean, not NIV, the New King James version. And then we're going to go to 15. Genesis chapter 16, verse 1 and 2. And it reads, Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. And she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, See now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go unto my maid, perhaps I shall obtain children by her. And Abram heeded to the voice of Sarai. That's one. Go with me to, 15. Go with 15, verses 2 and 4. Genesis 15, 2 and 4. When you get it, say amen. Say, I got it. Type amen under there, something like that. Do something like that. Do something like that. Genesis chapter 15, verse 2 and 4, and it says, But Abram said, Lord God, what will you give me seeing I go childless, and the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus. Then Abram said, look, you have given me no offspring. Indeed, my born of my house is not my heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, saying, this one shall not be your heir, but one will come from your own body shall be your heir. And he brought him outside and said, look now towards the heaven and count the stars, if you are able to number them. He said, and then he said to him, so shall your descendants be. This is a very popular story in the Word of God, and I want to kind of dive into it. It's going to be three things that we're going to be touching on, three main topics that we're going to be touching on. Number one is I'm tired of waiting. Number two is the faith to wait. And number three is reaching your goal. Again, number one is I'm tired of waiting. Number two is the faith to wait. And number three is I'm reaching your goal. So the thing here with Abram and Sarai is they have the same situation that, not the same situation. They have the mindset that we have a lot of times, where they was just tired of waiting. You got to understand, Abram got called out of Haran around when he was 75. When they decided when Sarai came up with this plan, it had been 10 years since God called them, and they just been out and about, kind of moving around, kind of following God. So they just got tired of waiting. How many times have we been in situations where we were just tired of waiting? But the problem with being tired of waiting, the long waiting for the promise will discourage you, causing us to make irrational choices. I'm gonna say that again. The long waiting for the promise can discourage you, causing us to make irrational choices. And that's what we see here with Sarai. She made an irrational choice because she was tired of waiting. She looked at the situation and in her mind was probably thinking, I'm 85, I'm 75, no, I'm 85 now. This is having kids is not is a young woman's game. So I want to try to let me figure out how to help God give Abraham what he said he was going to give him. Have you ever had a situation where you tried to help God? Well, Lord, it ain't going the way you said it was going to go, so let me kind of help you out. Maybe you forgot, or you're just busy dealing with everybody else. But the concept of not wanting to wait and that impatient causes you to make irrational choices. People get married all the time because they don't want to really wait, or they date people that they probably shouldn't date because they've been impatient and they've been waiting long, and they don't, they're tired of waiting, and they find themselves in relationships that don't work out because they made irrational choices. Impatient motivates you to switch your goal. Have you ever had a situation where you said, I want to go here, or let's do it like this. Have you ever had and I need to get back in the gym. That's why I'm bringing this gym thing up. Have you ever had a weight that you wanted to get down to, and you push, but it was just taking too long to get there? So you say, you know what, this weight that I am not is not that bad, So when you get impatient, or things ain't happening when you want it or how fast you want it, you begin to switch your goals. Then the problem with switching your goal, does that make the first goal not important, or does that make the first goal irrelevant? It really don't. All that really shows is that you didn't have the resilience to stick with that thing to get to where you want to go. You didn't have the dedication and the commitment to push yourself to get to the goal that you wanted to get to, because it takes some type of sacrifice. You could get down to that weight, but maybe you got to change your diet even more. You could do the things you want to do. You could get that 4-year degree, but you want to settle for the 2-year because you don't feel like going for the 4. So don't allow impatience to get you to shift your goals to fit where you want, because it really don't fit where you want. You just what's the word I'm looking for? You're just compromising your own self. You're just compromising and saying, well, I can settle for this instead of that. No, if your initial goal was to go here, don't settle for here. And don't allow being impatient to do that to you. Let's keep going. We can put ourselves out of God's will, which is very dangerous. Sarai and Abram, because now they're in this thing together, they put themselves out of God's plan and purpose and his will, and that was very dangerous. If you read the story, Hagar end up causing issues, and Abraham had to kick his son and the handmaiden out, and it caused problems in their household because they jumped when they shouldn't have jumped. They caused problems in their household because they moved when they shouldn't have moved, and because they got out of God's will. And being out of God's will is very, very dangerous. It can cause you to do things that ultimately or in the end can really hurt you. I thank God for his grace and his mercy, because I would say that we probably always out of God's will in some way or shape or form every day, because we want something right now. I want to do this, I want that, I want this relationship, I want this amount of money, or I want this status, or I want all these different things, and we can get out of God's will. So we got to be very careful with that. What else we got going here? The impatience caused them to move in a direction that wasn't led by God. Everything that we do, we want to be led by the Lord. Everything that we do, everything that we go into, every relationship we go into, every business deal, every job, you want to make sure we are led by God. And when you get impatient and you start wanting to do your own things, you say, listen, God, the lane that you building for me is taking too long. I'm going to build my own lane, and I'm going to go my own direction. But what happens is it ends up taking longer to get to your destination anyway. Even though it may look like you're progressing faster because you have building the lane, eventually you're going to get stuck and you won't be able to progress anymore. So it's better just to wait on God and let him continue to do it in his time, and let him do it the way he want to do it, because when he do it, it's going to be done in perfection. It's going to be done with excellence. But when we try to get upset and say, Lord, it's taking too long, and we try to take matters to our own hand, we end up missing out, or we end up moving too fast, which ends up prolonging the thing in the first place. So again, you got to understand that in this time of I'm tired of waiting, we can't allow impatience to cause us to make irrational decisions. We also can't allow this to be, okay, let's back it up again. Understanding that impatience can cause us to switch our goals, which we don't want to do. Whatever you started out doing, continue to strive for that, continue to push towards that. Understanding that if we get out of God's will, it can be a very dangerous thing when we try to fix things ourselves or try to do things ourselves, because it's not going as fast as we want it to go. Let me tell you something. Whatever the goal is, it's going to take something. It's going to take your commitment. It's going to take your dedication. It's going to take the sacrifice. It's going to take something to get there. You're just not going to wake up and bam, it's there. It's going to take something. And God knows that it's going to take something. And God is shaping and molding you so you can be in a position you need to be in order to get to where he's trying to take you, or whatever the goal is. So let's keep going. Number two main topic that we're going to talk about is, so what do you have to do now? You have to you have to have the faith to wait. That's what we're going to call this. You have to have the faith to wait. See, Abraham had a, oops, my fault, Lord. Maybe I shouldn't have did that. How many times have we been in situations where we went out of God's will and we tried something and it backfired and blew up in our face, and now we have the, oops, my bad, Lord, forgive me. Can you help me out of this situation? I think we've all experienced that in some shape, form, or fashion. In James chapter 1, verse 3, somebody type that in the message for me. In James chapter 1, verse 3, it says, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. And knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. We talked about impatience in the beginning. We're going to talk about having patience now. Faith allows you, the testing of your faith allows you to have patience so you can wait on God for whatever it is that you're waiting for whatever it is the promise is, for whatever it is that he said that he was going to do for you. And I know I got some water in the background. Forgive me if that's real loud. I'm trying to talk louder so you can hear me. Patience can make the difference between annoyance and equanimity, and between worry and tranquility. Tranquility. I said it right. Patience is the one that does that. Patience allows you not to stress. Patience allows you not to worry. Patience allows you not to jump outside of the will of God. But it's the faith that worketh the patience, and the patience that worketh the faith. I wish I had a chalkboard, because I would write faith here at the top, and then I would write patience here at the bottom, and it's a constant circle. So faith helps you with patience, and patience helps you with faith. Faith helps you with patience, and patience helps you with faith. That's how it works. They work hand in hand. So the question comes, do you trust God? Do you, when you walk in with impatience, when you walk outside of God's will, is really saying, Lord, I really don't trust you. And is that really what you're saying? Or have you allowed your emotions to get you to move in the way that you don't want to move? Not necessarily you don't want to move in the way that you shouldn't move. Because a lot of times our impatience is fueled by emotions: anger, frustration, anxiety, adversity, that cause us to be impatient. That it's the emotion that moves, that strengthens the impatience. So on the other end, faith and patience, it's being able to have joy, being able to have peace, being able to be steadfast, to have temperance. This is what strengthens your faith and your patience, so you can stand in there and you won't go outside of God's will. You have to allow your trust in God to hold more weight than your desire for right now gratification. You have to allow your trust in God to hold more weight than your desire for the right now gratification. I know you want it now. I know you want it today. You really wanted it yesterday. You have to allow your trust in God to outweigh the emotional side, or what you want right now, because God always has our best interest. God knows what we are in need of. He said, I feed the fowls in the air. They don't have to worry about food. God knows what you're going through. So you have to trust God. That's where your faith kicks in. Your patience kicks in. Will you trust God? So again, faith helps your patience, and patience helps your faith. So what happens if we allow our faith and our patience to work in our lives, and we're not walking in impatience? What happens is you're going to eventually reach your goal. Now look at this here. They got a promise. The promise took 24 years for Abraham and Sarah, for her to have a child. She ended up having a child, 99 years old. The promise took 24 years, or in 24 years, God blessed them with the promise. I said that in two different ways. I'm going to say that again. The promise took 24 years, or you could say it like this. In 24 years, God blessed them with the promise. See, it's all about perception. Depending on how you say it is depending on how you're going to react off of it, or how you're going to respond from that thing. If I say the promise took 24 years, took all this time, then I'm not responding in the right way. But if I look at it in a different way, 24 years God blessed us with the promise. He promised us this 24 years ago, and God came through because he said he would. God would never lie. He said he's not a man that he should have to repent. So God will come through. I don't care how long it's taken. God is able to do what he said he's going to do. What God, like I said, what God said came to pass. You look at something else here. So my question to you is, what great things are waiting for you on the other side of your patience? What great things are waiting for you on the other side of your patience? For that business, for that relationship, for that healing, that ministry, whatever goal it is, you have to make sure you have the faith mixed with patience in order to get there, and you will get there. So continue to push. Don't give up, don't back down, but continue really to trust God is the key thing. Continue to trust God, continue to believe in God, because you will reach that goal. If you have patience, you will reach that goal. If you don't, like I said, we talked about it before, if you don't get to the place where I'm tired of waiting, I want to do this my way. If you don't get to the place where you're emotionally being fueled by these things and you begin to think irrational or do irrational things, that can be very dangerous because you can get out of the will of God, of which we don't want to be. So we want to make sure that we understand that we can't allow these emotions over here, these negative emotions, fuel our impatience, and we have to allow these things over here, the joy and the peace and the steadfast and the temperance, those things, the fruits of the Spirit, we got to allow them to empower or power or give us the energy we need in order for our faith and our patience to kick in. So this is what I want you to do. What I want you to do to start working on your patience is next time you're driving and somebody's at a red light and the turn is green, don't honk at them. Next time somebody's at a stop sign and they're kind of just sitting there, don't honk at them. Work on just having the patience and allow them to look up and see what's going on and move forward. That's going to be the first step in there helping you have patience. Something as simple as I'm at the traffic light and I'm honking. Boo, boo, boo. Why do we honk? We honk because we're impatient. That's really what it is. And they're upsetting us. Again, we allow our emotions to fuel the impatience. They're upsetting us because the light is green and they haven't left. So what I've done is I get to the light turns green, I just sit behind the car and just wait. Usually they probably on their phone looking at something. As long as it's not about to cause an accident or something like that, I just wait. And eventually they pull off. And that's how I work on my patience. And that patience allows me to fuel my faith, which allows me to wait on God. So until next time, I appreciate you guys watching Sunday Push. We do this every Sunday at 3 p.m. Check out all the other things that I do, the motivational stuff I do during the week. We got some great things coming down the pipeline. Y'all know how I do it. I love, I care, I motivate. It's PM, Pastor Mike.